welcome to episode 67 of the Migtown podcast. Yes, we are 2 away from the magical episode 69. Your only weekly source for all the daily unbreaded that you can handle. As usual, I'm producer Tim. Joining me is the mayor of Migtown, Drexel. Say hi.
Hello, everybody.
Also joining us in studio today, special guest in for part 2 of our German Shepherd tales, Aydin Paladin. Say hi.
Hey, how's it going? Thanks for having me on, and thanks for screwing up with the timelines, considering I have the dreaded coof, and it does kind of stink. So if I'm a little bit low energy, that will be why. Sorry, guys, but thanks for having me on. Either way.
Good shit. So, Aydin, a lot has happened in the world, and we were talking backstage, and first and foremost, we'll get right into the issue of chameleons and men's rights. You were saying some things backstage about, obviously, we know the basics, right? Like, guys aren't allowed to talk about basically anything, right?
Yeah.
They just get shouted out. But what do you think about the seeing more and more females entering the male space? What do you think about that?
So I think you are right about the idea of the chameleons, and that's going to exist with women anywhere, and they've been doing that for forever because, of course, women want to be seen as attractive by men, and so a lot of times, I've grown up in a lot of nerdy kind of spaces, and you see women who have come into those nerd spaces because it's a way to be the only female within a position amongst a bunch of males, and so that gives you a position where you're highly desired, right? Because you're seen as accessible by the men, but because you're the only one, you're also put onto a pedestal by it. So you get also these women who know that they can be put into this pedestal-like position by entering men's spaces and being the only female or one of a few females within the space. And that is going to include men's rights activism to a degree. Now, I would say that that's as with all of these things, that it takes a while for it to reach that kind of level of it being a super big issue. So, for example, like Karen Strawn and a lot of people in the Honey Badgers, when they start doing this stuff 10 years ago, before this was popular, before this was normalized, I don't think they were doing it. And particularly because people like Karen, she experienced and saw the problems with the way that men were being treated in the divorce system and within the custody system from firsthand experience. And that's why she started to get interested in it. And that's, again, 10 years ago. Whereas now when people are coming into it, and over the last couple of years more recently, there are going to be some people who, it's the same thing where women are realizing like, oh, well, I can get in onto this predominantly male space and put myself into a position of power and sexual power over men by being the one girl in the room. And that's the same thing. You see that in Dungeons and Dragons. You see that with Magic the Gathering. You see it with every man's hobby, every predominantly male hobby. Women will come in and take it over. That's not to say there aren't women who are legitimately interested in helping men, because men and women should work together. In terms of, I would say, some things. You can disagree,
And
Drex.
not others.
Actually, I'll be honest with you though. So, Aydin, you're right. Here's the thing: you're right in theory, just not in practice, right? Like, I remember, I think when we first talked on Flashcast, I remember saying something to the effect of, "Aydin, can you think of anything that women have, quote unquote, invaded? Right? A male space they invaded, they didn't completely ruin, right? They ruin everything. If you allow women into your comics group is ruined. You allow them into movies, your movies are ruined. You allow them into video games, your video games are ruined. The manosphere is ruined. Like, I just want someone to say, I can give you, Drex, at least, how about this? How about 2 examples of men allowed women in and women didn't ruin it? Can you give me at least 2?
No, I can't, because it's happened every single time.
Can you give me 1?
No, I'd say
every single time, right?
It's happened every single time.
So Aydin, the reason why I say that is I go like this. Okay, if you can admit that, right, then how is it that including women into a male space is a good thing?
I don't necessarily think it is, but I think part of the problem is that you're going to have women, you're going to have an extreme outlier of women who are going to be interested in these things. That there will be, genuinely speaking. The problem is that when you invite women in and say we have to get women involved in this, and you do a kind of advertising campaign, which is what has happened in all of these communities, of we got to get more women involved, we got to get more women involved. And once you do that fucking crap, then you get in the women who don't care. And the reality is that for almost all of these things, whether it be the manosphere, whether it be comics, video games, whatever, the number of women who are actually legitimately interested in any of these for realistic purposes, it's something like under 10%. Okay. I would say. Yep. But once you start advertising for it, and specifically when you say, hey, women, you can get access to men where you can be kind of worshipped by them because there's no women in this community, then of course women, particularly lower value women, are going to want to seek that out.
So Agreed. It's the simps that cause it, because women will self-select for things they like, right? Well, Dungeons and Dragons is a good example. There are some women who go in there and don't ruin it, but then it's always a simp who says, well, my girlfriend wants to play, and then she comes in and starts making all these rules. Well, we can't talk about this because it's triggering, or these orcs can't have minus intelligence because that's racist.
By the way, I met my husband. I was playing a D&D game. He was the DM. That's how I met him. My husband. I was already playing a game, and that's how I met him. So I mean that's how that worked out. But no, the like I said, it's unusual for women to be invested in men's hobbies inherently. You have a percentage of women that will be either men's hobbies or men's issues, because women are generally speaking invested in women's issues, and that's fine. That's the natural state of things. But women also have realized that if they invest themselves in men's hobbies, they can get the attraction of men, both simps and men in general, but particularly the simps.
Now, there's two things that have always struck me about the things that women do when they invade male spaces. The first of which is that they'll go into this space, right, and then they'll want to change it. Like that's just a given. The main thing that I've seen, though, is Aydin, correct me if I'm wrong, what you just described when women enter the male space is never the same when it's the opposite, right? When there's a bunch of females and one dude or two dudes enters, what happens to that space?
I mean, I've never what hobby do men enter that women are predominantly interested in?
None. That's the point. women don't have anything interesting about them. Like no one wants to admit this. Okay. The reason why it doesn't happen the other way around is that, like,
I mean, some gay guys maybe.
Yeah. Either guys who are like literal, like the vagina hat wearing male feminists, right? Either it's a complete simp who has insidious ulterior motives, right? And the reason why
maybe the AGP kind of guys too, you know?
Yeah, but it's always gonna be a weirdo. It's not gonna be a guy that women want, right? And the reason why I bring this up is because this, Aydin, I want you to really think back, right? Like, think back to your own childhood going forward. You don't really remember women have any legitimate hobbies. Like, the dudes were doing stuff. They had the clubs, they had all the things. So every time there was something to do, right? The guys were like, yo, I'm calling up all the boys. We're going to do this. The guys never were invading female spaces. It was always the girls like, well, boys, we want to play. We're like, no. The reason why guys said no is not because guys hated girls. That's a common misconception. I'm going to give you guys the most fundamental thing about how this works. If a guy is at the arcade and it's a bunch of dudes hanging around a Street Fighter machine, right? And a guy looks at it. He goes like this. Oh, man, that game looks cool. I want to play. Doesn't matter. It could be Halo for all I care, right? The guy goes and plays, gets his ass kicked. He's like, holy shit, I got my ass kicked. This is the fundamental difference between men and women. Aydin, when the guy gets his ass kicked, he doesn't say, this is unfair. The rules need to change to fit my level of skill. He goes like this. Tim, I need to go get better. Hey, how do you do those moves? How do you change other? See, the guys ask the questions to get better, right? Personal accountability. This is what the girl does. Oh my God, I got my ass kicked. This hobby is sexist. I need to go to somebody. I'm going to speak to your manager, and I'm going to make sure everything is what I want it to be. Therein lies the fundamental problem, right?
Now, speaking of games, I don't know if I showed you this, Drex, but I had the artist for the warband, Gray, made this for us.
Oh yeah, that is epic.
That is awesome.
That's super cool.
Oh man, it brings back so much, dude. The memories of Contra, just red guy, blue guy, Bill and Lance. Memories that come from that, it gets me teary eyed, man.
Contra was a really difficult video game to play, and that's most people didn't know the Konami code back then. Because we didn't have internet forums, there wasn't a cheat guide that was published in PlayStation Underground, right? I actually saw some little kids playing this game while I was down at the border protest at Coots. They had like one of the, I guess it was a retro Nintendo, and then they had Contra, and they were not very good at it. But you know what? They were having fun because it was just two little kids, I guess buddies or cousins, and they were just going across the map, doing their jumps and their shoots, and they die, and they're like, oh well, and then they tried again.
You know what? Oh, go ahead. I think I'd say in relationship to what you said, which is completely correct, and I agree with Drex about the women want to be a part of things without actually want to be willing to get good and do the things that the boys do. I think that this is all kind of a product of modernity in a couple of different ways. Mostly in that I think that a lot of the women who want to get involved in male hobbies but want to be treated specially, I think the main issue there is they don't have a good relationship with their dad. So they're seeking out like other male relationships and male attention without actually being interested in any of the male hobbies or being involved in anything the men are doing. They just want the male attention. And I think that's a bunch of daddy issues, just my personal opinion.
I really agree with that because, even in this space, you started getting, the guys who would say, they were saying like the whole red pill stuff, some of the talking points. And then, you started seeing over time, women started gravitating. And I think one of the reasons is some of it is their own narcissism, right? Like, I want to make a red pill guy fall in love with me. And then the other part of it, I think, was like, there were so many simps in their regular life that they were like, I don't want these kinds of guys. Is there any guy that's like masculine? So the only masculine dudes left are like the real red pill guys. You know what I'm saying? Like,
yeah, 100%.
They're checking out.
There is no one else. Like,
and Drex, a lot of them are checking out too.
Yeah.
So then what does that say about the state of dating when the only thing you've got are the simps that women do not respect, they use, but they don't respect. And the men they do respect want nothing to do with them.
Yeah. Aydin, I want your take on that. Like, I actually have that in my notes here. Like, I want you to just go in depth. You're married. So, okay, look at it from both of your perspective, right? In a, like just kind of like looking at a situation from, your own and also the world at large, right? We got the micro and macro, right? Like, so give us your take on like dating and relationships here and now, and then for the future.
Well, I think a lot of what was brought up is completely true. You do have this problem where, first of all, women, and I will say this to anybody watching, women don't like simps. All right? They don't. It shows that to them, it shows that you're a low value male or that you're a male who can be exploited. And I'm not saying that's every woman, but it's going to be a lot of women, probably the majority. And when they think you're a simp, they don't respect you as a man, because as a man, you should be in charge. When you're simping, you're coming from a below position. You're beneath her. And so she's not going to respect you. Women want a guy, again, it's not just daddy issues, but in general, women want a man who's in charge. So when you're simping for her, she's not going to be attracted to that at all. I think that's the big issue there, and why women are not, and women and men are not connecting, basically, is that men have been told by society now that all you have to do is just respect women, don't be rude, just respect them. And by respect, of course, what we mean societally is simp for them and kind of be disgustingly patronizing, really, in the long term. Well, this way, not being patriarchal, of you can't hold women accountable for anything that they do, and you just have to bend over backwards for them. Meanwhile, of course, the paradox there is women don't find that attractive. So men and women are like missing each other in this entire romantic sexual marketplace on this.
I actually came up with a name for this phenomenon. Drex, you remember how I defined female autism, right? So male autism is what hobbies are, right? You focus and you get good at one thing, and that is your thing, and you'll never not do that thing. That's the male autism. The female autism is, I see a problem in this world, and I'm going to do the exact opposite to solve it.
Well, if I may real quickly, I unironically have autism, but it's only like, there's like 5, like the amount of women who have autism versus it's very rare, and it does not manifest exactly the same as in men, but it's the same kind of
okay. So
on
of course, I'm not
Oh no, but it's the same kind of focus on objects and mechanics and things like that. But I understand what you mean as a metaphor completely.
Yeah. Yeah, like it's not the same as the male autism. The female autism is all about stating a problem and then doing the exact opposite that would solve it. And then say, well, why isn't my problem solved? And that's exactly what this disconnect is. Women love men that simp for them. Don't get me wrong, they love them. But they love to use them. No, they love to use them.
They love what they provide. So it's not that they love the guy. They love what they provide. Like so simps, okay, think of it like this. When you look at, let's look at any ethot, right? Ethot 69, right? Somewhere she's out there slurping on a mic, right? In a horse head.
Licking the ear.
Mess. Licking ears. She's, busting it open on OnlyFans, right? She looks at all the dudes in her DMs that are calling her a queen and giving her money, right? She will gladly accept all that money, right? Gladly. And I don't blame her. Get your money, girl, get that bag, right? But then, this is the key component here. When she looks at these kinds of guys, like you said, Aydin, she views them as filth, as beneath her. Like, oh, how dare you even, say, like, can we meet? Aydin, can we ever meet? And you're like, oh, God, this, you peasant, right?
I mean, like, the thing is, anyone who makes content online and gets donations from people you're gonna get some simps. Doesn't matter if you're a guy or a lady, but women overwhelmingly get the simps.
Oh, Drex, you should have seen the Brittany Venti simps when you were doing that show with Nick and then Chronic crashed.
Oh, really?
You should have seen the Nick's chat.
Oh, really?
Nick's chat was simping so hard with Brittany Venti.
Well, here's the thing. None of them are going to have a chance at Brittany Venti.
But that's I don't know how. I actually don't know how so many guys get wrapped up into that of thinking they have a chance with these e-thoughts, whether it's me or Brittany Venti or whoever. Of I have a Patreon, I have a Subscribestar, and that's like, hey, if you enjoy my science videos, and you want to support the channel to make it so I can keep making them, then that's awesome. But there's no implication of you're going to get titty or I'm going to date you or whatever. However,
feet. They always ask for feet.
I know, it's so weird. But even though I've never made that implication, there are still people who have gotten mad at me where it's like, I gave you money. Why are you not going out with me? And it's guys who I don't know why they trust me, dude. And so I understand sometimes why women get upset, because there are guys who also react that way too, where, for example, I had this dude, he's like a 400-pound guy from Alaska, and he used to simp for me, and by simp I mean he's giving me like $5 a month, and I used to talk to him, and he was a fan, and he would ask me questions about like research and stuff, and I'd respond to him. And then when I got with a different boyfriend, like this is 3 years ago, before I met my husband even, he was so upset that I didn't decide to choose him, a random person from the internet, that he has spent now the last 4 years making videos about me on a daily basis, where he's just angry because I didn't decide to fuck him. And that's unhealthy as well. Okay, just saying it works. There is unhealthy stuff on both sides of this, right?
Well,
Nick showed you the unredded video, right?
Mm-hmm.
That one crazy guy.
I read his whole manifesto.
Yeah. So, man, I would love to ask you about that in a second. But the point I'm making is that the unbreaded guy sounds more socially adjusted than this simp who's stalking you, I guess is the best term.
Right, but that's my point is that, and I think that I didn't do anything to encourage that. Maybe in his head I did, but
no, it's always in their head. You remember the guy who shot the congresswoman down in Arizona?
Yeah.
Like he was convinced she was sending him secret signals through the radio.
But this, by the way, I think that all of this stuff is a product of modernity in a way that I mean, some of these guys are legitimately insane, but I think some of them also have been driven insane by the way that the male-female dichotomy and has been constructed currently to make it so that like basically men feel constantly inferior.
Well, Aydin, okay, I'm sure you've seen the movie Taxi Driver, right?
Famous of course. Great film.
Great film. Do you believe that you're starting to see that, like, in your field, you're seeing like, you're talking about, this like, dynamics, intersexual, intergender dynamics between men and women, and also the social climate and how it has basically kind of invaded our lives, whether it be political correctness, cancel culture. You get canceled for not being a simp, and like like I said, the lack of fathers and male role models and strong masculine figures. When you combine all of this, you basically are getting, like to varying degrees, we're getting different levels of Travis Bickles in society. Are you starting to see that?
Yeah, I would say so. I think that basically we're seeing compounding issues of a negativity towards the idea of masculinity, of a worshiping of femininity and feminine behaviors, and part of that is also worshiping of women in a way that you can't even that men can't even freaking question of that. Basically, simpery has become the norm. But then women get upset when you do have weirdo guys, and I understand why it is upsetting that real weirdo guys stalk you. Like, trust me, that's weird. But men get kind of in their own way forced into that because it's the way that they think now. It's the only way that I get a woman is either got to stalk her or got to pay her money on OnlyFans because there's no other way to get women to pay attention to me. And honestly, given the hubris of women nowadays, which is ridiculous, every like freaking woman who's like over over a 2 thinks she needs to be worshipped as a queen. It's absolutely absurd and needs to have a man who makes $150,000 a year pamper her and treat her like the queen that she is. It's absolutely absurdist.
Well, see, I actually enjoy all of this because it goes further into what my ultimate goal is, which is accelerationism, to end all of it, right? And one of the things is that we talk about, relationships and all that, and I want your take on the very nature of cuckoldry, because I have told lots of guys in my Discord, I said, no, this will be the norm. It's already being promoted. Yeah. Aydin, I don't know if you've heard of a movie. The wife introduced me to it. The Love and Leashes movie is, when you read the description, you're thinking, oh, this is 50 Shades of Grey, the Korean version, right? Well, what you end up with is a male submissive.
Oh.
And we all know that doesn't work for either. It's like men don't want to see that. Women don't want to see that. Yeah. And I'm like, so my thing is, Aydin, who do you believe this kind of shit is for? I mean, obviously you could say like, the super, beta simp cuck or like the ultimate feminazi, right? But like, that's a very small percentage of the population. So what do you think in terms of the future of where relationships are going based on the program?
I think that's demoralization. I think that's societal destruction. It's intended to try and it's propaganda. That's Korean apparently, but when you see this kind of stuff all over the place and it's constantly being promoted, I think that's intentional propaganda to try and demasculinize men. Demasculinize men and masculinize women. I mean, like you could argue why James Lindsay would argue that it's to create an entire society full of people that all hate themselves and hate society, so they all become communist revolutionaries and overthrow society. I think you could maybe say that maybe that's why. That's certainly why.
I don't see it.
That's certainly why they seem to want to infest children's minds so much, I would imagine, and indoctrinate them with CRT and stuff, but also why you might want to do it with adults as well, is just tell them everything about the natural state of humanity is wrong so that they hate themselves, they hate society, and they want to overthrow it. That would seemingly be the reason to me as to why that might be happening, as conspiratorial as it may sound. When it happens all over the place, it seems to... it's too much of it to just be a coincidence, I'd say.
Are you familiar with the theory that Earth flips the magnetic poles and that's what causes ice ages?
Nope.
Okay. Anyways, that's been the flipping of the magnetic poles in the Earth has always been a theory just because, the inner core is fluid. Anyways, I'm wondering what's the end goal? Like, the government is supposed to make more taxpayers. That's what their goal has always been. But this is the opposite of that. Korea's birth rate, Drex, is what, 0.2?
Yeah, they're at 0.6. There is a goal for this. And the goal, everyone thinks about they want more taxpayers. No. They just need enough taxpayers. They have exceeded the amount of taxpayers they need. What they need to do now is depopulate and then beat out all masculinity in society. in order to get total, permanent, global
Right.
control. They will achieve this goal, right? And I've told guys, they will achieve the goal because everyone wants them to achieve the goal. If you really look at people, right? The trad cucks, the leftist liberal guy, the woman, they want to be led and told what to do, right? So
the pandemic proved that.
I know.
It proved it. Like, I mean, I saw people out here that you thought were intelligent and fair thinking people. Oh, you gotta do it like this. You gotta do it. I'm thinking to myself, you're spooked out.
Put your mask on, you bigot.
Jesus, man. Like, I'm looking at people like, well, you know what?
The only reason I mentioned the magnetic poles is what if the government's actually trying to switch the role of men and women to make the women more masculine and to make the men more feminine?
That's the goal of feminism.
Mhm.
I mean, that's it does not compute in my mind that you could run a society where the women are in charge from the masculine standpoint, right? Like, imagine implementing the patriarchy, but you have women in charge.
Yeah, the black community.
And the whole
You get the black community.
right. Oh my God.
There you go.
The whole
And you're just going to like, so all you're going to end up with is everybody is going to eventually look like what the black community has become, a total matriarchy, which means the dudes are going to be over here playing tickle booty with each other or killing each other or going to impregnate as many women as humanly possible. Aydin, you know this. They become hyper violent and hypersexual. That's what happens in a matriarchy.
And I mean, it's what you were alluding to before. It's basically to turn everybody into chattel, so that they're dumb and they're complacent. And but if you're running off a democratic system, then you don't need people to be intelligent. You don't need people to do anything other than just to be able to go to the polls and vote the way that you've told them how to vote. You don't need anything else other than that. And that is another thing that's afflicted the black community. In addition to the major problems with having the matriarchal system, and that has also been influenced and enforced by the U.S. government by making sure that there is no reason for black fathers to stay involved in their families whatsoever. So they can basically just leave. And they have reasons for wanting to leave because black women have also been encouraged to not be exactly
feminine, presentable,
anything good. So black women set the standard.
You could finish the statement for me.
Yep.
Yeah, they have no actual good attributes. That needs to be first and foremost, right? None, zero. If someone says, okay, can you name an attribute that black women have that is desirable to the opposite sex? No one really has it. They're just kind of look at you like, okay, loud and combative. That's not good. Wearing weaves. That's not good.
They do have big boobs.
Not usually. No. You know, black women very. I don't know where this whole idea of black women having big butts comes from. You have a lot of women who are morbidly obese who have fat butts, but not big. You know.
Oh no, I was referring to tits, not butts.
Oh no, they don't have those either. No, most black women are flat.
And you know, you could mistake them for men.
Yeah, well, here's the thing. When you look at who's getting all these BBLs, right? Aydin, I'm sure you've heard about all these girls out here getting Brazilian butt lifts, right? A lot of them are black.
Yeah, well,
it's a lot of black chicks.
I mean, look, like you've got all kinds of issues within women of any racial or ethnic group of getting a bunch of work done, you know?
Yeah, because they have no self-esteem.
And again, that's how they control men as well, is having work done so that they can seem more attractive than they really are, because that's how they know that they get control over men.
Every black woman dreams of waking up and becoming a white woman.
Well, an attractive white woman.
Yeah.
Yeah, they want to be desired by white men. That's the whole thing. Like, that's why they wear blonde wigs. That's why they go out and put in blue color contacts. Whereas the black men don't do things to make themselves look like white guys. Like, black dudes just exist, and they're like, either you like what I am or I'm not. And that's men in general, right? I don't see white dudes walking around trying to emulate. Like, they can emulate in terms of like
clothing,
you know, certain words, clothes, but like they don't change who and what they are to try to go get like, oh, I'm going to try to pretend to be an Asian guy. Right, so I'm going to augment.
There's
myself.
That one dude.
Oh yeah, I remember that dude. I know you're talking.
The guy who tried to become Korean.
Yeah, that dude. I gotta ask you this though. When it comes to like, obviously, there's a lot of mental issues
going on
with people out there.
That's
A lot of these dudes are
Yeah.
clowns, but like, Tim mentioned earlier the unbreaded guy. Aydin, what is your diagnosis of the unbreaded
That's
dude?
schizophrenia.
Yeah. Yeah, this is a guy who's hearing voices in his head.
I mean, look, I'm okay. By the way, just to be clear, I am not a
Yeah.
doctor. I was a PhD student. I never finished my PhD. However, my also background is not in clinical psychology. It is in social psychology. However, even I can tell you that's schizophrenia. that's schizophrenia, right up. That's not a diagnosis, but that's hard up schizophrenia.
Now, when you talk about social
Mhm.
psychology, Aydin, if you were to go, community to community, country to country, culture to culture, what are the things that you notice that are, the most universal, and what are the things that you found that are different?
I mean, that's a really broad question. Now, if we're talking about the gender differences, or the sex differences, to be more clear, maybe not to use the special word, right? But the sex differences, it's pretty clear. Like what we find within men is that they're the protectors of society. They're the warriors, and what we find with women is that they take care of the household. These are things that we find in absolutely every society all over the entirety of the human race, and people will point to things and be like, "Oh, there's this one culture where the men wear things that look like dresses, and so that means that that's." Whatever. No, it doesn't actually matter at all. The basic functions of males and females within society are the same in every human culture. They may deviate somewhat, but they ultimately fall into the same kind of latitudes. So, yes, there are different individual cultures that act a little bit differently, have different customs, but men are the protectors. Women are they stay back and they defend. And not defend because they're being defended by men, but they stay back and they raise children and they engage in household duties. It happens in every single culture all over the entirety of the human species. The end.
Now, Aydin, the reason why I brought that up is because what's going on in Ukraine,
Mm.
this is why this is so important. There were a lot of people, right, who were saying that, gender is a social construct, Aydin,
Uh-huh.
right? You bigot, and blah, blah, blah. And, I can do everything a man can do, and I can do it
Ugh,
better and in heels and while pregnant,
I
right?
know.
And I would say, I have said this on Nick's show, right? Because, do you know who's always coming after me? And we'll have to talk about that. It's always dudes coming after guys
I
like me
know.
more than
How
women.
funny.
The women aren't the ones coming after me. Like the women are like, yeah, if shit hits the fan and a war breaks out, Drex is
Yeah,
right.
exactly.
The only one that's going to protect you are dudes, right? Men, strong men, not weak beta males, men, right? So, Aydin, something happened, something that makes me smile. War makes me smile because war is the ultimate truth, right?
Yeah.
You nut up or shut up, or you go in a pine box, right?
Mm.
Do you notice how quick feminism ended in the Ukraine?
Well,
Hit that on Snap. Where's all the feminism?
I
What
know
happened?
an exorbitant amount about what's going on in Ukraine, and yeah, well, I don't know if any feminism, how much of it existed in Ukraine before, but any desire for women in the West to want to go fight. Now they're all out there clamoring for men to go fight.
That's
By
right.
the way, in what will be if, let's be very clear about this. And by the way, what the fuck, Poland? Poland just said that they.
Oh, I saw that today. Oh, that was. Oh, what are you guys doing? They pulled that weight from the West
I
Wing.
know.
If you're familiar with the West Wing, they pulled that straight out of that playbook.
Poland is saying now they're going to give fighter jets to Ukraine. The problem is if Ukraine uses Polish fighter jets and one Polish fighter, if one Polish jet gets shot down by the Russian military, now you can have a justification to activate Article 5 of the NATO agreement, which means that all of NATO goes to fucking war against Russia, which means we're talking full-on nuclear holocausts, okay? So, what the fuck are you doing, Poland? My point is, though, women who are complaining about this, all this crying and stuff. Oh my god, did you see, I'm sure you saw this, Drex. The horrible video of that woman where she's like, Vladimir Putin, if I was your mother.
You know who sent me that? Ty Beard sent me
Ty
that.
sent you that?
Yeah, I was on my way to Nick's house, and I got my daughter in the car with me. We made a quick pit stop to Crumble Cookies that I told you about, and then we went to Raising Cane's, right? And I'm like, okay, let me just get this. I get to Nick's house. That's all that's on my mind. And as I'm in line in the drive-thru, I hear a bring. I'm like, what the hell? I look down, like, Ty Beard. He goes, hey, Drex, look at this chick and tell me what you think. So I'm like, well, I'm sitting in line, right? The Cane's line is always long. So I click it. And at first I'm like, is she trolling me? Like, is this a joke? And then like you realize, like the thing that made it so disturbing is that you realize at some point in that video, she's not
Yeah, I
trolling.
know.
You're like, oh, you're serious. Oh shit. And that's when you realize, oh yeah, we have a problem here, right? We have a serious problem.
Dumb Western bitch who can't locate Ukraine or Russia, probably, even though Russia's literally like half of Europe on a map, is gonna write this slam poetry. And that this is the entitlement of women like this. And then they want to send you off to go to die in a war that she doesn't fucking understand. It's incomprehensible.
Right. I got bone spurs.
I'm not going. Aydin, this is the beauty of it. The guys who go over there willingly, see, I'm actually rooting for them to wind up becoming fertilizer.
Oh,
because,
they
are
Redditors?
the problem. No, everyone who's involved in this, if you have a dick swinging between your legs and you are on a battlefield fighting, you are the problem. Okay.
I agree.
I would consider you a trad cuck. This is what you're supposed to do. You're supposed to say, wait a minute, I'm not as good as a woman, right? Or you can say that, gender is a social construct, right? The only people who should be on battlefields should be women.
Well, exactly.
Only people with vaginas should be on battlefields. Because, Aydin, we've been hearing this for 60 years now, right? At least 60. That they're better than men and everything, right? Okay, so now is your nut up or shut up, ladies, or I don't know, tit up and shut up, right?
I guess so.
This is your time to finally prove. Look, we poor, weak, inconsequential, disposable men, the toxic men, are going to sit back and watch in awe as you go and take down the Russians. The only thing men should be doing right now is sitting back and watching women go and defend and defeat the Soviets.
I sure hope that we get a new Fortunate Daughter remake to play as the women invade Ukraine from the helicopters. Yep. There we go.
Drex, could you imagine a female version of the Expendables?
Oh,
well, we just ruined your whole week.
No, we got one. Shit, Aydin, you know what movie it is, right? The Jessica Chastain, right? The spy movie. What's it called? The something. I'm gonna look it up.
Hang on. This sounds
the something.
I know what you're talking about.
The 33. The 3. I'm gonna type her in. I'm gonna type her name in. Jessica Chastain, because I remember she was the one that made it. So let's look at her most recent movie. She was pretending to be all whatever, right?
Well, he's finding that. Aydin, are you noticing people who are, well, for lack of a better term, suicidal, going to the front line?
People on Reddit are talking about it.
Yeah. Would you buy that? Would you buy that? Like some people who are like, I don't have fucking anything to live for. I might as well just go to a war and hope it kills me. The people I'm seeing
who are saying that they're doing it on Reddit are all a bunch of soy boys who probably don't have much to live for. Yeah. And I think that that's why they're so invested. It's because they're like, oh, look, a real thing is happening. Now, first of all, let's be very clear. This entire stuff, the way that the Ukraine stuff has taken over, is absolutely to just replace COVID. That's on purpose. It's to make sure people, people have forgotten that.
Hey, Drex, we found the miracle cure for COVID. Just start a war.
Ukraine.
Of course. Yeah. The movie is called The 355.
Oh, I
right.
Didn't
All
know
these
that
stunning and brave women. The movie made literally no money, right?
Of course.
And of course, they blame men, as they always do, just like the Harley Quinn movie that bombed and every other movie that bombed, right? Now, Aydin, I got to ask you this. We talked about this on Flash, and I wanted you to get more in depth with this. I have said on numerous occasions that lesbians don't exist and that lesbianism is a byproduct of good times and social conditioning.
Yeah, I would agree, actually. So what I would say is that I think that there are a certain portion of people that are truly lesbians, but for the most part, what I think happens is that it was probably within the evolutionary biological natural proclivity of humans for women to develop a certain level of lesbianism, whereas it might make some sense for gay men, but mostly for women being lesbians. Of if the men have died, then the women would want to connect together to be able to protect children, right? To be able to protect the tribe. So that's why we would have maybe some proclivity within the society for women to want to engage in sexual behaviors to comfort each other out of a need to produce oxytocin, which makes people feel better, right? If you look at bonobo monkeys, for example, they engage in gay and lesbian behavior for the same reason, to reduce stress in one another. So that's probably why.
Yeah, the Black community, every hood in America. Yeah.
We were talking about bonobos last week with
Did
our
we talk about
zoologist.
bonobos?
Yep.
I didn't know.
Yeah, like the Black community is full of bonobos.
Oh, I
It's a
didn't say
bonobo
that.
culture.
I just I didn't say that.
I mean, I will. I mean, look, I can say everything about the Black community because everything I say is true. It's a total shit show. It's a cesspool of degeneracy, of depravity, of regressive thinking, and it is up to people like me to reach out to Klansmen and help them destroy the Black community. Like, the Black community must be totally destroyed. I have to do my part, and when one of the things that I do my part is like, you need to be shamed when you are with Black women. You are low key gay, man. Okay, you're out here dating and marrying and having babies by Black women. No, man, you're on the down low, man, because they are, as I've said, Aydin, the average Black woman, i.e., that's damn near all of them, are basically men with female genitalia. They look like men, they sound like men, they act like men, they smell like men, they commit crimes like men. And when you look at them, you're like, is there anything feminine about these creatures? No. The creatures that they produce, right? Their little bastard offspring, right? The demon spawn, who go out and do nothing but commit crimes like St. Floyd, right? As you look at their behavior and you say to yourself, well, where's all this going? Guess where it's going, Aydin? Lesbianism. Do you know how much lesbianism is going on in the Black community right now?
Well,
along with pedophilia.
Yeah. I mean, there's which is the Kendrick Lamar song about that? Is it Keisha's song or Tammy's song? I forget which one it is.
Yeah, I know which one you're talking about. Yep, off. I think it was a Good Kid, Mad
It's
City. Right?
It's in Section 80.
Oh, yeah, okay, before that then. Yep.
Where it's like the second she hit the block and turn left, she'd be turning dyke, like about. And Kendrick's, of course, lines, he's like saying that Black men are so terrible, and that's why Black women become lesbian. I actually don't think that's the case, but I would say of all the Black people, again, I grew up in Baltimore City, so
I'm sorry to hear that.
but I'm just saying you can. Well, I mean, I grew up before the age of 11, in West Bagout, Virginia. I grew up in a real goddamn rural part of America, but but after that, I lived in Baltimore, and most of my friends growing up were Black, and all of the people I knew, it was a Black mother, no dad. The Black woman was most of the time an academic or a highly educated woman. No dad though, ever. Dad was always out of the picture. It was everybody I've ever known. My first girlfriend, my best friend, my everybody, my other best friend, everybody I knew who was Black growing up. And in fact, when I moved to Cincinnati and I met a really a good friend up there, it was the same thing where his mom was a college professor and his dad was gone. And it was the same thing where it was all these like quote unquote educated Black women and who had no man in the picture whatsoever, every single time.
And how did those kids turn out, like in terms of their social interaction? Because see, sometimes people say like, "Oh, well, I was raised by a single mom, Aydin, and I became a school principal." It's like, yeah, but look at your social interactions. Like, are you really a man though? Are you a quality woman? Like, if you're a woman, are you marriage material? Right?
I mean, they were all friends of mine, but I did watch some of that go downhill. So my best friend when I was 11 years old and I first moved to Baltimore. I met my first, friend, and my only friend I had for years, actually. Like 8 years, 9 years later, became a BLM activist. Even this person was best friends with me. By the way, when I was a kid, would come over to my house and hang out with me, and said she wished that my mom was her mom. She was like, "Oh, I wish that your mom would adopt me," and stuff like that. and she would put on my mom's foundation and be like, "Look, I'm white," that kind of,
yeah.
But I mean, like, but what?
It was just
Yeah,
silly. It was just
being silly, but like wanted to be
Yep.
part of our family. Like that's how close we were. Then 8-9 years later, is like, I hate white people. Fuck whitey, that kind of shit on Facebook. And my mom messaged her at one point and said, I don't understand this. And then she immediately blocks her on Facebook.
Of course you did.
Um,
Yep. Now, Aiden, I got to
yeah.
ask you this. It's something I've talked about with all women because I actually had this conversation with Mama Vic as well. I want you to go and tell me, how were you treated as a white woman by black men versus black women? Where did you receive like hostility from, racism from? Who did you receive that from?
I've always been treated very nicely by black people, honestly. Like, I don't know. But the black people I've known, like, again, that girl, her name's I will tell you her name because there's probably a bunch of people whose name is this, but there's no way you can make it up. Her name was Ebony Black. Okay. You can't make it up. Nothing like her name. And I was really good friends with her mom, and like I would go to church with them and stuff. Her mom was always lovely to me. Her mom was a professor at the local university. She was always lovely and very sweet to me. Everybody I've known has always been sweet to me. The only time I would say it was weird is that I was dating this guy in college, and his father died, and I went to his father's, a black guy, and his father died.
As I was wanting to hear.
And his father died, and I went to the funeral, and I was the only white person there, and it was a little awkward, and that's all it was. It was just people were kind of like, "Why is there a white person here?" A little bit, but that was it. And that's the only way I've ever felt excluded at any point in time. Because even from the point when I was like 11 years old and I first started going to Baptist churches, I never felt excluded by black people from their communities. I will be honest about that. I never felt excluded, personally.
You should have gone to a black club and had black guys talking to you, and you would have a different perspective.
Well, they were like churches and stuff, man. Like I mostly like.
Oh yeah. Oh no. I know. See, when like I've had I've had non-black women tell me, they'll say like, "Oh, Drex, everything was cool." I was like, "Oh, was it cool?" Mm-hmm. Hey, did you ever go out to a club? And they're like, "Well, yeah, I went to this one. I was dating this black guy, or I talked to this guy, and what happened? Who wanted to fight you?" They're like, "Oh,
no,
yeah.
I never went to a club. I've only been like, see, I'm a good Christian girl." Just kidding. I was a Norse pagan up until like 2 years ago, but I never like went to clubs or anything. So only everything I did was like go to like family get-togethers and stuff. So I never saw anything like that.
Well, now, Aydin, you talked about the education of the black female, and it's something that gets brought up quite often by them, right? They like wear it like a badge of honor, even though the black woman's average net worth is $5, right? Because they're so heavy in debt from these. We the most educated.
But they do have high education, technically, yeah.
Now, yeah, technically, now being educated and being wise, right? Being knowledgeable are two different things. So what ends up happening is they come up with these degrees, right? Like I'll give you a prime example. Most of the women who call into Kevin Samuels are educated, right? I got a degree, Kevin. Yet they can't seem to find a goddamn man, can they? But they're so educated, right? I'm a PhD. Aydin, talk to them. Speak to them.
Well, I mean, look, I to be fair, I didn't finish my PhD. I'd like to, but it's not everything in your life, right? And I think that what happens is, some people, not just black people, but not just black women, but a lot of people get obsessed with this idea of I need that the degree is everything that matters about me. And that means you not necessarily, but often abandon or do not pay attention to the other parts of your personality that actually matter. If you're just paying attention to, like, let's say your education, you're not paying attention to, let's say, not being a bitch. Do you know what I mean? Like trying to focus on the parts of yourself that should be that are going to attract other people to you as a human being. And I can say that as having been through a PhD program, of people can be kind of awful in them. So, and particularly when you get like autistically involved in these programs, you have to understand that life is more than just, and particularly because let's be clear that a lot of these PhD programs that they go through are like English and poetry and
bullshit.
sociology and stuff.
Bullshit. Yeah, it's all the little feel good things, right? And the reason why I bring that up is because there is one particular PhD in Tim's neck of the woods who has repeatedly talked and expounded upon who is the most miserable. And Tim, that is one Dr. Jordan Peterson. And Dr. Jordan Peterson has spoken numerous times about the women in academia. He said, you will never, ever meet people more miserable than ever.
Well, I can tell you that.
Well, describe it, Aydin. You've been in academia in terms of like the advanced levels of education. Tell me what kind of conversations they have, what kind of things they say, they do. Kind of take us along the ride.
There's two types of people, right? So, there's the married women in academia, and for the most part, they're okay. They're okay. The unmarried women in academia, oh my God, they're nutty as squirrel shit. So, for example, like in my academic PhD program, one of my professors was she studied family communication. She's got 5 kids, and but hang on, she's got 5 kids and a husband. She's the nicest, sweetest, most reasonable person on earth, right? Really? Yeah, she's totally fine. She's Nick's tier, right? She's got 5 kids. She's studying family communication. She knows what's up. Do you know what I mean? Like, she's not making this stuff up. She understands what it's like to have 5 children, which are hers, that she's given birth to. So she knows what's going on. And she's much like with Nick and his wife, started before she even finished her PhD. So she has a background in that makes sense. Now, then you have other people who I won't be more specific about, who do not have families and who are very aggressive and mean and angry. And they're going to go into that, particularly if it's a woman, and have a bit of a bias in their way they assess things. It is possible, I think, for women to contribute things positively to research. Obviously, I would hope that I do to some degree now, outside of my literal autism. But I think also if you're a woman and you're trying to explain family psychology and you're trying to study family psychology and you are a mother and you have a family and you're working with your husband, who, by the way, is also a professor at the same school, I think that's fine. I think that's probably going to be helpful. But to the wealth of human understanding of family psychology. But you also get bitter, nasty women as well. So it goes both ways.
What kind of things do they say? Like, we talk about the bitter women because Dr. Jordan Peterson spoke about that. But like he said, he was giving it kind of like a general, like he's kind of painting a broad brush. But like, what kinds of conversations do they have? Are they mad when they see women with families? Are they saying like, why aren't men, up to my level? Like, what kind of things are they saying?
Child-free stuff of like, that's at least what I saw, which was it's wrong for people to want others to have children, and I'm feeling attacked by people saying, oh, why haven't you had kids yet? Which, by the way, I do kind of understand, but at the same time, I don't think people who say things like that are being aggressive. I don't think they're saying that in a nasty way. That's just...
Well, do you believe that they're saying it in a way that, like, and this is where I believe it comes from, especially for the women out there. This is for all the ladies who will ever listen to this. One of the main reasons why people say that to women in particular is that we heard about the old maid, right? The spinster. They tend to know how it goes for most women, not all women, Aydin, but most women, when they get older and older, and like I said, they've been ran through, right? They racked up a bunch of bodies. No man, they're just alone. And Terrence Pop, shout out to him. He said this, and it always stuck with me. He was talking directly to the ladies. He said, ladies, 40 to 80 is a long time.
It sure is.
Right? And if, for all the women out there, I'm strong and independent, Aydin. Fuck you. I know what I'm talking about. I'm so stunning and brave. You say that, and all of a sudden, before you know it, right? The party girl of this age turns into a career woman of that age, and all of a sudden,
and then you're 60.
She's 40. And then you're 60, and you're like, I'm really miserable. There's no one that talks to me. I have no family. That was Candace Bushnell. Tim, we've talked about her numerous times, haven't we?
Numerous times.
Sex in the City.
Yeah.
Right?
Yep.
Miserable. Look, she the same women who were anti everything, right? Yeah, Cooper just put it up. Candace Bushnell did an about face, right? No, girl, go get that bag. Be stunning and brave. Go through New York, sleep with as many guys as you can, just like a dude would, right? Like, sleeping with women. All of a sudden, you wind up at, was she like 64 now? Miserable.
Like that. Oh, look at her face. She hit the wall hard.
She hit the wall so hard.
If you can't have biological children, there are children you can adopt. That what I think, and that's probably going to be what my husband and I are going to have to do. But like, I think that's okay, where you can.
If it feels that maternal,
right.
Like, because pets is not the same, and I've told women this.
Pet is not the same as a human being. Holy fuck!
It is not the same. And Aydin, let me ask you this: what do you think about that kind of? I don't know if we want to call it a craze or a sensation, but this rise in women with the whole I got my what do they call themselves, dog moms or whatever. I'm a dog mom. I'm a cat mom.
For.
Oh, it's by the way, I think it's part of the subversion of people in general. Of don't reproduce, don't act normally, abandon the natural way that human beings are supposed to just exist. By the way, like the idea of adopting and that kind of stuff, that's as old as human society has ever existed. That's old as fuck. But replacing human beings with animals, that's some new weirdo fucking post-industrial revolution, which by the way has been its consequences have been a disaster for the human race. So
it's a coping mechanism,
I would say so,
because it sounds like when you listen to these harlots talk about their cats, it sounds like they're trying to convince themselves that they're not depressed.
Absolutely. Because when women get that way about my cat or my dog or whatever, they're absolutely replacing their natural proclivity to want to care for children, and it's ridiculous that we act like that's not the natural way that people are. And men also, by the way, have a natural proclivity wanting to care for children. So the entire thing's absurdist.
Well, yeah, Aydin, this is the thing that's so disturbing, and we talked about this in the Discord earlier. I can't remember, one of my guys had shared it. I want your take on this. Do you believe with everything that's going on, right? The obviously the indoctrination in the school system, the uncertainty in financial uncertainty, right? Like economic uncertainty, total collapse of the nuclear family, the feminist family courts, add everything up, right? What do you believe is even a responsible adult supposed to do in terms of like wanting to bring children to this world? Do you believe that's irresponsible to bring kids into this current climate?
Especially boys.
Yeah, especially boys.
I think you have to. I think you have to, and you're gonna have to try to keep them out of however the problem is, you're gonna have to keep them out of the education system. And that's difficult.
What about the family courts though? Because the guy will have no power over stopping them, right?
You're gonna have to have unfortunately, I know it's almost impossible, because you're gonna have to have a woman who's not going to want to take advantage of you. And how do you fucking make sure that that's the case?
We have a term for them, Drexel, because they don't exist.
Yeah, unicorns don't exist. Now, what we will say though, Aydin, is that the reason why I bring that up is because that leads into the other point I want to make. The soccer star, Cristiano Ronaldo, right? And he did it the whole surrogate way, right? Do you see that being the new era? Because Coach Greg Adams did a video on this, and he said, he actually did the research. He said the cost is around $90,000, right? Now that sounds crazy. Someone goes, $90,000 fucking dollars. Do you know what your average person pays in child support?
Oh, it's way more than that.
Though? It's roughly $250,000. So for those guys out there who say, "Nah, Drex, that's crazy," do you believe, do you see an eventual trickle down effect where like the top men go and then start going down, right? From the top 1% to the 5 to the 10 to the 20, start going, I'm going to go this route so that I have full custody of my kids, full legal rights to my kids, and no one can ever take them away from me. Do you see that becoming like a new norm in our future?
I honestly, I don't know if that would be the case, but I kind of think it might need to be, at least temporarily, so that women can get their fucking shit together and realize how you actually do not have the value that you think you have.
They won't.
Well, okay, so Aydin, what would they have to do? Okay, let's take this world, clone it, and say, all right, you have to fix the world, or otherwise God's going to knock us into the sun.
Oh God, I hope so.
How do you? So, what are some of the steps we need to take to start fixing it? Because men and women both have to fix themselves.
Yes.
Men, it's really easy. Stop simping.
That's it.
Yeah.
That's it for men. One step process to win. You stop simping.
But then what would the women have to change?
What? That's a good question. I mean, you're correct, Drex. It is simple for men. Men have to stop fucking simping 100%. But for women, I think women are gonna. I don't know what we're supposed to fucking do. There's too much.
TFM had a solution.
I don't have a solution here. The problem is that, like, normally speaking, you would have a hierarchy where the most attractive women at least would be chosen, but the most attractive women are also some of the worst in terms of wanting to engage in this nasty bullshit nightmare social stuff. So I don't. Of course, as a man, you're going to want to choose the most attractive woman because all of us would like to choose the most attractive person, but the most attractive woman is often the worst.
Now hold on, Aydin. I gotta ask you this.
But
I gotta
women all over
quick.
the spectrum are terrible. So, like, that's the problem.
I know. No, Aydin. I gotta say this though. I gotta be fair. I don't know if you've seen this because I've been noticing this. Do you know who's actually in relationships right now? It's the average looking girl.
Yeah,
right?
Myself included.
When you're out walking out and about, like just walking around, are you starting to notice that? Like the hot chicks are not getting chosen, right?
No, I mean, like myself included. Like, I mean, I know I'm in a different position, but when I go out, and I do see people out, it's average looking women and average looking guys. That's who I see holding hands out together in public. At least,
and then I see that doing the fuck shit, right? Who's having the meltdown at Walmart demanding to see your manager?
Often either the ugliest or the hottest woman.
Or the hottest. It's never the girl in between. It's gonna be someone, or someone that's trying to hold on to like past glory, like that crazy Baywatch chick,
old
former Baywatch chick. Yeah. She aged out, right? She used to be model level. Bridget Fonda hit the wall harder than anyone in history. Did you see Bridget Fonda?
No. What happened there?
Oh, go ahead and use your phone and just type in Bridget Fonda like now or something. Oh, this is bad. Oh shit, this is epic right here. Bridget Fonda hit the wall in.
Oh my God! Holy shit!
Yeah, buddy.
Holy fuck!
Wow,
that's really unfortunate.
Can you believe that?
How did that happen?
That's Bridget Fonda.
Oh my God,
man! Imagine being married to that, right?
I mean,
because she's married. Imagine being married to her, and she used to be the hot smoke show, right? And then that's her. I mean, now.
I look. I can't promise it's going to happen to me over my entire life, but I think I would. I think I'd freak out if I went from being relatively normal looking into this fucking nightmare. Holy shit!
Is that the right one?
That's her. Yep.
Wow.
Yep.
Holy
that's
fuck.
her.
Oh my God.
She's gained 200 pounds.
Easily.
How do you gain 200 pounds?
Now to give her some credit, she was in a car accident, but this was years ago. They like messed up her back. Listen, go get a new back. Okay. You have the money. I don't want to hear any excuses.
Call Drex, he'll blow yours out and then you can put a new one in.
Yeah, we'll write off as a medical expense, right?
Oh, I have to say, look at the scrunched up stuff around her crotch of the fabric. It's the worst part.
Yeah, I know. You
got that nasty.
It's gonna smell like the Great Depression.
Man.
It's you gotta lift the folds up to get up in there, and it's just, look at
it looks like a picture of like her and then her ugly twin sister's grandmother.
It really
it's almost like her in a fat suit.
I mean, how many years is between these two pictures?
Okay, so the picture of her with the in the jean shorts, right? That is the Jackie Brown 1997. This is her now. So now you can argue with Drex. 25 years.
25 years is
that's a long time, right? But you and I both know, Aydin, she's probably looked like the picture on the right for quite some time now, right?
I mean, hell no.
I mean,
I would say like my mom, like she got pretty big at one point, but she lost a lot of weight. Like it can happen, you know. She's just maybe in a nasty place. I don't know. Like that's a big yikes for me though. Oof.
Bridget Fonda seen for the first time in 12 years on her 58th birthday.
Yep.
Oh, she hasn't been
That's
seen
for
for
that
12
photo.
years. So no
12
one knows what
years.
she looked like in between.
So yeah.
Oh, she looked like that.
Yeah, we see what she looked like now.
No, but here's the thing. I guarantee you, whatever she looked like 12 years ago, right? So that would have been 2010-ish. Whatever she looked like in 2010, I guarantee you was actually like decent.
Yeah.
You see what I'm saying? Because she was seen publicly. Like she's probably on a red carpet,
Mhm.
right? I think it was in Glorious Bastards premiere.
Oh yeah.
Something like that. It was around that time.
Just oof.
And
That's a
oof, right?
real bad decline real fast.
Wow.
Right?
Yeah, you're right. That is the world's worst wall.
Yeah, I
hitter.
mean, the only person that I think can really compare to that is Kelly McGillis from Top Gun.
Mm.
Oh, Tim, you don't want to see that before and after.
Nope.
It like you'll literally lose your lunch when you see she went from hot shit like, and this is the problem
Carrie
though,
McGinnis?
Aydin.
Who's it? Oh no.
Yeah, Kelly McGillis from
Carrie
Top Gun.
McGinnis is Batman. Kelly-
Oh yeah, no, yeah, Kelly. Yeah, so she's from Top Gun, and she hit the wall. I mean, it was so bad. Family Guy made a
What
joke
did
about
they?
her. Now, you know, if you're
Oh,
the butt of
wow.
a Family Guy joke.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
But she had plastic surgery clearly, and the plastic surgery was awful.
It's like stop. You know, I want to ask you this, Aiden. I'm glad you brought that up. Give me your take on women in plastic surgery in general.
Stop. Here's the thing. We all get older. Get over it. Like, look, just age with grace. Try your best. Everyone's gonna get old. Men age better than women, let's be honest, for the most part. But because women only have that certain like kind of like good period where we look good, right? Where we look good. But if you have a family, by the way, why do you give a fuck how hot you look if you got a husband and a family? Why do you give a fuck? Like, why would you give a shit?
Because if you have no other redeemable quality other than getting in front of a TV camera and lighting it up for The Sims,
then who gives a shit? But who gives a shit?
You want to hang on to
Exactly.
that. You want to hang
Who
on to
gives a
that
shit,
for as
though?
long as possible.
Who gives? I'm with Aiden on this. You know, so Aiden, here's the crazy thing about what I would tell these women who go this route of augmentation of and using filters. You only need to look hot enough for your man, right? That's it. Like, because remember, your man is gonna have rose-tinted glasses on you anyway. That's how men are designed. Like for those of you who don't know, right? Let's say you're a man and you met your wife when you were 22 years old, right? And you've been with her since she was, let's say she was 18, right? You're 22, she's 18. 40 years later, if she kept herself like in as best shape as she possibly could, went to the gym, eats healthy, right? So yes, she has declined because she's not 18, right? However,
but to be fair, so have
60,
somewhat.
So have you, right? So he's gonna look at you, but when he sees you, Aiden, you know how this works, right? When men look at her, he's like this. There's my girl. Man. I've loved her from day one. Like he's gonna have these words. Now the rest of the population is like this. Oh, she's just a grandma, right? She could be an attractive grandma. Like, oh yeah, she looks good for 58, right?
But when it's your husband, you never stop seeing it. Like it's like you still remember how he looks, and it's the same way back and forth, because that's how people are. Because you love that person, right? And that's how it works. When people get weird about it, and they're like, "Oh, I got to be constantly attracted to everybody outside of the world that I exist in all the time," well, that's stupid and that's dumb. That's never going to work.
Yep. I'm glad you mentioned going to the gym, Drex. You want to talk about the long-term health of a relationship? Buy her a treadmill, not plastic surgery.
Yeah. Well, one thing I will tell couples is this: make the gym something that you both can do. Because Aid, I want to get your take on this. You're talking about bringing men and women together. Like I said, I've always been split, right? Because in one hand, I'm an accelerationist, right? I just want it all.
I don't blame you.
Then in the other hand. So this is what ends up happening though. On the other hand, you wind up in a conundrum, right? So in my case, here I am wanting everything to end, and then it's like, but Drex, what about these kids? Like, you want the kids to have a brighter future, right? You want them to have hope, blah blah blah, right? So you're like, okay, well look, here's how you do it, right? You don't go out and open an OnlyFans, guys. Don't be simps. Now I know they won't listen, right? I know they won't listen. They're going to do this. They're going to make the worst choice possible, right? Most of them. And yet at the same time, Aiden, what would you say are things that like couples can do to like keep that spark alive? Because I've spoken openly about the fact that most of these women are out here cheating. They have it's actually been a study. The majority of women have a replacement man right now, even while they're in a relationship.
Really?
Yes. They have your replacement already on deck. And usually you know the guy.
Well, I would say
like the male knows the guy.
Well, I would say what my husband and I do is we spend a lot of time together. We watch a movie together almost every day. We watch a movie together. We play Magic the Gathering together. We play Dungeons and Dragons together. You know, we do all these things together. And I think when you have these kinds of things that you do together, now you don't have to do everything together. By the way, don't get that shit twisted. Like you do not have to do everything together. Have your own independent things. You know, I mean, I do my YouTube channel, which is different from, you know, he also goes and has a different D&D game that he plays with other people. So have your own independent, unique things that you can do apart from each other. But also, I mean, again, we watch either like an episode or of a TV show or some YouTube videos, or we watch a movie almost every day together. And that's the kind of stuff that if you can even just take an hour and a half to spend that time with your partner. And I know it can seem like a bit of time, but it really isn't. An hour and a half every day is not that much time just to watch a movie and, you know, sit together and you know, that's all it takes. I think that's all it takes, in my opinion.
And Aydin, have you ever watched a movie or a show that perhaps you didn't like very much, but you know he liked it?
No, because everything that I like, he likes. But I mean, like,
would you?
Yes, if there was a show that I didn't particularly like, I would be willing to watch it. Unfortunately,
because you're spending time together.
I guess fortunately, like we have very, very similar tastes in things. But yeah, like if there was something that I didn't really care for, I'd be willing to watch it just because he liked it. And there's been some things I haven't loved, that's for sure, that I haven't loved that we've watched that were more on his taste. But yeah, and the same, I'm sure for him, I know I've made him watch shit that he hates, but you know, but like,
do you know that that's part of the charm? Okay, if you actually like the person that you're with, do you know that actually becomes like one of your like defining things, right? Like the movie, it was Good Will Hunting, right? Do you remember Robert?
Oh, yeah, I love Good Will Hunting.
Robin Williams, right? When Robin Williams in that movie describes his deceased wife to Matt Damon's character, right? To Will. Do you remember what he says that what it really mattered, right? It wasn't all the beauty and this, that. It was all those little the nuanced things, right? Like I think she like farted in her sleep or something. All these things that he goes, you know, even like the things that annoy you about somebody, he goes, but when they're gone, you realize that's what really matters, right? Like it's even something as simple as like, Aydin, you're with your man. Those movies that you know you're kind of like, God, this movie kind of sucks ass, but like you're snuggled up to him, like so that's what mattered, right? It was the fact that you were snuggled up with him, and like even when it was over, and he's like, yeah, I know that wasn't really your thing, babe, but you know, you're like, no, it was cool. And then like there used to be a compromise, right? A lot of people don't know this, but back in the 80s and 90s, there used to be this compromise. The girl had to go to the guy to go watch an action movie, right? That she didn't want to watch. And then the guy had to go suffer through a rom-com, right?
To be fair, we both love horror, so I've never disagreed. I've never disagreed on a horror film, but yeah.
Oh wait, no, hold on, Aydin. I gotta ask you the question.
However,
please,
I have forced him to watch. I have forced him to watch a rom-com, so you're correct.
Yeah, but you know how that was, right? Like back in the 90s, you would see a guy and like here's the thing. Like this is where people get confused. Simping is a one-way street. So watching a shitty movie with your girl, this. I'll tell you something. This is for the guys out there. One of the things where romance wasn't dead is that one of the best things that could happen back in the day was that a guy watched a rom-com that he was like, yeah, you know, she wants to see it, whatever. And he goes, holy shit, I really like this one, right? Like, do you remember when Harry Met Sally came out? Like that was like the movie. Excellent movie, right? Like, oh look, even Hitch.
I love Hitch.
Hitch is a great rom-com. How to Lose a Guy in 10 Days is a great rom-com, right? Because it does what it's meant to do.
Well, my favorite is Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind. Absolutely my favorite. One of my favorite films of all time. But yeah.
But some movies just work, right? Like Her.
Her is good even.
But it's also like it's like a twisted love story, right? And there are movies that girls would be like, "Oh my god, babe, I really want to see this." I'm like, "You don't have any of your girlfriends to see it?" "No, they're all going to be doing whatever." You're like,
Oh no,
like,
she
okay."
meant that she
But, like,
wanted to go see it with you. You know,
there's yeah. She just wants it. Yeah, she's just making up excuses because she wants you there, right?
because
And at the end of
I
the day, that's what really
yes,
mattered.
and I'll put it this way. Okay, so like, so for like Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind, which is like one of my favorite films of all times, of all time, it really is. Or The Fountain. These are really depressing. Well, not Eternal Sunshine so much, but you know, The Fountain is super depressing. But Eternal Sunshine is a very is my one of my favorite films ever. It's a rom-com starring Jim Carrey. It's amazing. And I want to share the emotional experience of that film with the person I care about. And that's how women,
Mhm.
I think, feel about a lot of films, is that like we're not doing it just to annoy you, by the way. A lot of times that we want to is that we want to experience, even if like you don't, even if men don't have the external crying or whatever that women do, but we want to experience, we want to like share the emotional experience with you, to be like, oh, here's how we feel, and can you understand a little bit where we're coming from? It's fine if you don't, but we want to show it to you, and and try to get your reaction to it, I guess. I think that's somewhere how women come to that, when we force men to watch shitty gay rom-coms. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, the flip side is also true, and that's the reason why I brought it up is that I've watched a lot of reaction videos,
Mhm.
right? Aiden, there's only one kind of reaction video I will watch. It's women.
Oh,
I don't watch male reaction videos. And do you know why?
no.
I know how a guy is going to react to a movie. You see what I'm saying? So guess what? They can't offer me any new
Hmm.
insights. Do you know who can offer you a whole lot of insight as a man? Go watch a woman watching, like, this is her first time watching insert guy movie here, right? This is her first time watching The Terminator. This is her first time watching The Matrix,
Oh,
Star
really?
Wars. The amount, like they are by far more entertaining than any guy, right? By
Oh.
far. It's not even close. Like, when girls watch guy movies, what they see in the movie is different from what the guy sees in the movie. You're like,
Oh, I
holy
have seen
shit, look
that.
at that. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like so
Yeah.
it'd be like, I remember I was telling the guys in the Discord once, I said, when it comes to playthroughs of video games, right? That's not my thing. I said, but there's one that caught my eye. It is the React channel, right? The React channel it was Teens React. They played through the entirety of the original Last of Us game, right? The only ones I wanted to listen to were the girls, because, like, remember, all the guys were game players, right? To varying degrees, right?
Yeah.
So, Tim, you've been here. When guys play video games, you know exactly what's going to happen when they play, right? Like, what's going to elicit certain responses, because they're
Yep.
guys, like they're seasoned gamers.
Well, and men in general are just visually
Yep,
stimulated, right? So I see the same thing you saw. We may not
yep,
always have the same reaction to it, but I can
yep,
guess, right?
yep.
I have a pretty good guess
You have a pretty good
what
guess,
parts
right?
of the game you're going to react to.
Yep, a guy knows
I have
exactly.
to ask a very important question.
Oh, what's
Drex,
that?
have you seen the reaction to the new Lord of the Rings trailer?
Oh, I haven't seen the reaction,
Oh my
but I
god.
did hear about it from
W
Yellow Flash,
It
and I saw some of the
it's
posts online.
amazing. Would you guys like to watch it? Um, c
Sure, I heard it's gonna be
so
woke
so
garbage, so
there's a
sure.
whole bunch of different versions. We should watch maybe the British one, because it's the worst.
Ugh. I
Um,
always love the worst. Like, I always tell people, like,
uh,
when they say, like, do you want the good news or the bad? Always give me the bad news.
here's the Okay, so they did a whole bunch of these. I'll send this over. This is awful. But if you want to talk about how now there's no men involved in this. But if I've
Of
posted
course
it
not.
in the chat. Um,
Oh,
there's no male
oh,
involved, not a real one. But this is
okay. 1 second. 1 second. Let me pull it up
absolutely
so we can actually narrate.
disgusting. I watched it in French. Or they have in French. They just have like one guy sitting on the stage alone. It Amazon has it's clearly trying to create a fake narrative about this. It's disgusting. If you'd like to see this horrifying nightmare, here it is.
You can hear
I
that?
can't hear it. No.
I can't hear anything.
Okay, 1 sec.
I don't like the way this guy is
Oh,
sitting.
it's gonna get so
Dude,
much worse,
bitch
Drex. It's gonna get
made.
so much worse.
What the fuck?
Uh, Okay, stop sharing.
It's really a nightmare.
Share
While
system
Tim is
audio.
loading this, I gotta ask you: have you and your man seen the new Texas Chainsaw Massacre on Netflix?
We have not.
Oh, make sure that when like I know that you're suffering a little bit with the coop.
I'm actually.
I promise you, it'll make you feel
I'm actually
better.
like the thing is, my husband said it took him like literally 2.5 days to get better, and I feel like as we're going through this, I'm getting better. I am becoming
You
stronger.
sound better when you
I
started.
am becoming stronger.
It's nothing.
It's over 9,000.
We stopped the whole world for 2 years because of this.
I would say again, like I said yesterday, last night, the headache that I had was so bad that I told my husband, I was like, at one point I was like, I think I might have to go to the hospital. That's how bad my headache was. But now I feel normal, so whatever. Whatever.
All right. I apologize. I'm such
That's
a
fine.
boomer. There, that's better.
Yeah.
Still a little
My name's
choppy.
Mr. Islam,
It's
and I'm
alright.
so excited because Prime Video's new epic fantasy series, The Lord of the Rings, The Rings of Power, just dropped with a teaser trailer, and I'm here with the Fellowship
of
Influencers.
Influencers.
Look at those crossed legs. Look at the crossed legs,
Very
Drex.
excited after watching that.
Come on.
Very intrigued to just see everyone else's.
Why does
thoughts
every
and
gay
just
guy
gather
now
what we
wear
think.
left
3 words.
earring?
Oh, teaser trailer.
I know they've been doing that for
Okay.
years, but it's still
Breathtaking.
frustrating.
Exhilarating and intriguing.
I did notice that you weren't breathing.
Yeah,
I was going to call first aid.
It was like I was trying, but every time I was like, okay, take a breath, something new would happen, and it was
And she like, and I was like, you can fall off your chair. Please
No?
no. Oh, I would say like expansive because
Yeah.
we're getting this like whole new look into the
Don't know
second
what
lead
that
on
means.
screen, and it's gonna be interesting. I also want to say,
Oh, of course, it's
representative,
representative.
because we're getting like series, like, the same
Even the other woman looks
Whoa.
confused.
And then I guess like intriguing because obviously this
This is the
period
state of the black
history
community,
in
Drex.
Middle-earth is very rife with notions of the plot of like The Hobbit and Lord of the Rings, and seeing how the Rings of Power are being forged.
Definitely more than 3 words. but
I
I'll take it. I love it.
Drex,
I love
you're
it.
right.
I'm an over-explainer.
I love it. I love it.
I would say
Awestruck.
mystified and stuff.
Wow.
very strong words.
That is like the word for the next teaser trailer.
Yeah.
I'll just, like,
By the
go
way,
on
they
up,
invited this
With your
woman
name
only
on
because
Violet.
she has a glass eye, which I didn't even notice.
Wait, which one does?
The girl in the green vest. I didn't notice it until literally after I responded to this video in a stream.
Especially on
But she has a
screen,
glass
that
eye.
means
That's
a
why they
lot.
have her in here.
Oh,
That's why they allowed a white
Imagine that.
person in here, because she has a glass eye.
because she's disabled.
I see that diversity is being explored in the Rings of Power. What are your thoughts on the casting decisions?
I'm
Grim
very
says they're
excited
trying to
for it
turn it into
because
Lord of the
Tolkien
Cock
was
Rings.
about being inclusive. I mean, we see Fellowship, like a bunch of people from different backgrounds coming
Ugh.
together in order
It
to
sure is awful, isn't it?
in Sauron. And seeing the casting decisions, it's really, really exciting to see. It's just going to mean so much to like me personally because
It matters so much to me personally.
And it's just going to be really nice for them to be like, oh, hey,
There's somebody who looks like
Oh,
me.
they always push.
I mean,
this.
can we pause for a second?
with a lot of hope.
Yeah, sure.
I mean, Drex, I don't understand. Like, there's nobody who looks just like me, even in
No,
anything.
I don't see. I don't have a tribal mentality other than I don't acknowledge bitch made beta cucks sent
Sure should.
vaginas as human, right?
Hey, Aydin, we actually talked about Drex. We talked about this when we were talking about video games. How it was the introduction of the create a player
Yeah,
that started leading to the downfall of a lot of these sports games.
interesting.
Because do you remember? I asked Drexel this hypothetical, Aydin. Do you remember being pissed off that you were playing Michael Jordan in the NBA 2K series? No, because no one was. I wanted to play as Michael Jordan. Now everyone wants to see themselves in these games and in these
But just
characters, and that's
also,
how you get this
I
garbage.
mean, maybe it's just because I've always been a D&D nerd. So I don't know. Like, I just replayed, like, maybe it's been like 2 or 3 years now, I guess. But I just replayed Mass Effect, the entire Mass Effect series. The
Mhm.
character I played in Mass Effect in 2008 is the exact same character I played when I replayed Mass Effect 3 years ago, which is a black lady who looks like Teal'c from Stargate SG-1. I don't give a fuck. I'm role playing a character. That's not doesn't mean it's me because I'm playing a different character. I don't want to look like me.
Well, Aydin, so when I play a game, I usually just pick a generic guy if the guy's not, just like afforded to me, right? Because I'm more about playing the game rather than like, character creator. That never meant anything to me.
Yeah.
But I told Tim, I said, everyone who knows my brother is very adamant. Like, unless it's a complete fluke, my brother only plays the female in every game. It does, like, it doesn't matter what he plays, he's always the female.
There's a bunch of
right?
research on that, by the way, but yeah.
Yeah, like ever since we were kids, like if you give my brother any game, right? If you're playing like a beat 'em up or something, like the new Turtles is coming out, right? Turtles, Shredder's Revenge. I can promise you, my brother comes back from Kuwait.
Oh wow,
he's gonna play as April O'Neil,
yeah.
right? You got all the Turtles, Casey Jones, Master Splinter. My brother will be like this, April O'Neil. Of course, it's April. Of course, he's gonna play as April.
Who did Nick always choose when you guys played?
He always plays the biggest dude.
Yeah,
Nick plays the biggest dude in every game. Like so, because so Nick, when we played, we were playing like Mario Tennis back in the day, right? Who does Nick immediately gravitate toward? Bowser, the biggest dude in the game, right? It doesn't matter what game you play. Like so, Nick and I were playing Streets of Rage 2, right? He picks Max, the pro wrestler, right? The biggest dude. It's like because usually, like I said, either you're picking someone that reminds you of yourself. Or you're picking someone that like you like their look, like I want to be them, or I want to be in their shoes.
So there's a PAX PAR instrument, which is the player avatar interaction instrument, which described that there's 4 different types of way that people interact with avatars. This was developed by my advisor when I was in doc school. So she says there's 4 different types of people, or 4 different types of way that people interact with avatars in any kind of video game, any kind of virtual environment. It's the avatar as me, which is that I'm viewing the avatar as a representation of myself within a virtual environment. So I want to look the most like me as possible. It's the avatar as sorry, shoot, I haven't done this in a minute. Avatar is self. Yeah. Avatar is self. Avatar is other, and this is the very rare one, which is that the avatar is a totally different thing outside of myself. It has nothing to do with me whatsoever. I have nothing to do with this person. I'm just helping them complete their goals. I have no control over this person. I'm just helping them complete their goals. That's all I'm doing. That's the very rare one. It's like 10% of people interact with video games that way. Then there's avatar as symbiote, which is that the avatar is both me and somebody else. So it's kind of a combination of things. It's both me and somebody else. And there's the avatar as object, which is the avatar only exists as a way for me to complete video game goals. It's not me or anything else. It's just a tool. Those are the 4 ways that people interact with a video game avatar. Right.
This is why I love having Aydin here to talk, because this kind of stuff, and it's always been fascinating to me. Because Drex, you and I, we know all 4 of these people. We could probably think of each person, right? But
a lot of times, here's the thing: a lot of people, in general, know all of this. They just don't have a name for it, right? Because
exactly,
like, Aydin, how many times have you seen someone do something? Or it's okay. It's just like when Minister Japp first came up and coined the term German Shepherd.
Oh yeah,
right?
it's just we just have a specific term within social science. That's all.
Yeah, they're like, oh shit, there's a name for this because for years people were like, yo, Japp, I was going through all the X, Y, and Z. Or, I mean, isn't that the whole nature of like the manosphere? Is that like a lot of people have these experiences and they just couldn't quite condense it and put into something that was palatable, right? Especially for the masses, right? Once it was, they were like, oh. Just by having that simple, you could say that this is what a chameleon is. This is what a simp is. Once they said that, they went out in the world and they're like this. Oh my God, guess what, Aydin? I can identify a simp in like 5 seconds now, right? Before I just thought, man, this guy's a little blah, blah. So I can watch this video right here, right?
This video is awful. And by the way, we didn't get into the German Shepherd questions that were supposed to be asked, but.
Oh yeah, don't worry. Look at this creature right here with the earring on the left, right? Which used to be on this used to be on the right ear.
Oh, him. It's awful. I figured this would upset you, Drex. That's why I wanted to send it to you.
so Aydin, who do you think raised this fucking creature right here? Who do you think raised him? They, them.
That's a single black mother.
Yeah.
Let's just be honest.
So the worst people in all of society.
I'm not
on
saying
Earth.
So,
that way,
Drex,
but-
the only person in my life I've ever met as flamboyant as this guy was raised by a lesbian single mother.
Imagine that. What do you think? What they hate, and this is what Aydin was getting at earlier, they hate masculinity because I'll tell you what masculinity represents. It represents accountability, right? That's really like, think about it. What is the feminine imperative? It's to avoid any accountability, which you said it, Aydin. You can't criticize women about anything now,
Nope.
right? And now I want to get into that, Aydin. Let's talk about the German
All right.
Shepherds. Let's talk about these horrible ass single moms. And go ahead. I'll let you take the show.
Well, I don't actually. Could you Okay, so I've heard the definition of German Shepherd, but could you please reiterate to me so that I'm sure that I understand exactly what a German Shepherd is?
Oh, okay. You saw many of them in Baltimore,
Oh, yeah.
and you go to see any other U.S. City that has lots of black people. The German Shepherd is the term coined by the immortal Minister Jap. Shout out to my man, Minister Jap. Subscribe to his channel, peeps. Minister Jap talked about the German Shepherd is basically all the stereotypical traits of the negative traits of the black woman, right? Then they are the attack dog of black men. They go after black men for daddy government, right?
Mm.
That's why I'm gonna kick your black ass out the house. That only helps the government, right? That doesn't help the children. It doesn't help you. It doesn't help him, right? So the German Shepherd is the attack dog. They go after black. Think about it. Look at Me Too, right? Who starts Me Too? Someone that we all know didn't get raped. No one touched Tarana Burke. Look, anybody who ever touched this fucking pruned up green pepper looking face bitch, I want them to go ahead and be brought out for justice because I don't believe it happened. No one can convince me it happened, right? But Aydin, their goal each and every day is to destroy black men, destroy masculinity, and promote fuckery, right? That's their goal. That's the German Shepherd's goal. It's to perpetuate ratchet behavior, right? Twerking on tables, twerking at graduations, Waffle House fights, Chuck E. Cheese fights, Walmart fights.
Yeah,
you know
who is doing it? You ever see white women like pulling each other's hair out at a Popeyes?
I mean, a couple times, but very rarely. Like,
okay,
meth
no one
don't
does
count.
this. Like that's the thing. This is where people don't. This is where people get confused. When Minister Jap said, "Oh yeah, don't forget about twerking at funerals." Thanks, Coop.
Oh God, that shit's
This is the
awful.
thing people don't understand. Aydin, it's no one else doing it. And guess what? Do you know here's the thing though. Do you know who they blame for all this, Miss Paladin? Black men. There's no black guy around, right? You said it yourself. You were in Baltimore City. You didn't see any black fathers, right? But who gets the blame for everything? It's these black men. These black men's it's like, wait a minute. How do you blame someone who's not there or that you remove from the equation?
Their argument is that the fact that the men have removed themselves from the equation is why they're acting that way. When the reality is that I would say the black men have removed themselves from the equation. Sometimes because they want to escape. Let's be honest, because you basically entrapped them with pregnancy stuff, but also because oftentimes, you've entrapped them with wanting to get involved in crazy fucking nasty bullshit, I would say. So unfortunately, it's difficult to try and separate where those one begins and the other ends, I'd say.
Well, when it comes to single motherhood, I have always maintained, okay, women say my body, my choice, right? They're the ones that have the babies, right? They're the ones that choose whether or not you can have sex. If you take it, then that's a criminal act, right? Okay, so let's go like this, Aydin. That means any woman who is a single mother was 100% her choice.
I agree.
It means one of two things happen. If she is not a widow, right? So, because everyone, do you know that it's men who are the quickest to say, "What if she's a widow, Drex?"
I've seen that shit. It's unbelievable.
Right? Yeah. Like it's dudes who say that before women. Right?
I know.
So, widows aside, we're gonna go ahead and put them aside in their own separate.
The whole
category.
0.05% or whatever.
Yeah, 0.5% are widows, bro. So stop. So we're gonna go ahead and let all you simps know. Listen carefully. If a woman is a single mother, one of two things happened, and only one of two things happened. She had a good man that she pushed away, either through the family court or drove him off. He said, fucking, I'm out because you're crazy, right?
Mm-hmm.
Or she got with a deadbeat, terrible dude who probably is abusive, a guy who has 9 other baby mamas, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because let me ask you this, Aydin. Have you ever seen a third option?
No, I mean,
There is
well,
no third option.
at least I haven't seen it. Now that could be incorrect, but I have not seen that. I mean, because the third option would be, and this is what they want, the U.S. government wants you to think it is, and people who support the U.S. government is that it's a 18-year-old girl who gets raped, basically, and needs to have the U.S. government come in and pay for her baby because she's not allowed to get a abortion because of Republicans, etc.
Even though black women have had more abortions than all other people over 23
Even
million.
though I'll go further than that, Drex. I'll say that's what's happened to because of the installment of the massive amounts of Planned Parenthood institutions within the black community is equivalent to a genocide. But that's just my opinion.
It is. No, it actually is. Margaret Sanger and Gloria
Sure was.
Steinem. That was their plan. They are CIA
Literally.
operatives. So for those of you who don't know, literally. See, when I talk about this, people say, oh, Drex is crazy. And then when they research, they go, oh, shit.
For real.
Yeah, they're literally CIA operatives who were literally put in place to enact genocide on black people, as was the Democratic Party. That's why the Ku Klux Klan are affiliated with what political party?
Democrats.
Democrat. Now, when you say this, people say, you're wrong. You're crazy. There was a Southern strategy. I don't know. See, Aydin, you can't tell these ignorant ass Negroes shit. Okay? When you show them all the evidence, you know what? Legal mindset. Our man Andrew just talked about this. He said, there's a problem where it's about narrative first.
Of course
right?
it is.
So they go like this. Aydin, here's my narrative. And no matter what you say that's to the contrary, you can keep disproving their narrative, right? And they'll just keep moving the goalposts. Oh, where did you get those stats? Those stats are compromised because of it doesn't matter what you say. So eventually you just throw your hands up. And this is what you were saying earlier. More and more black men, and I know you've heard about this, Aydin, just started leaving, right? They left the community. They said, you know what? I'm done dealing with this shit. And I'm going to go where I am appreciated and celebrated rather than tolerated.
Right.
Right.
And it was a sacrifice because Drex, how many black men are not having children?
Yeah, 52%. So, Aydin, that can only mean one thing. That means that all of these black women are having babies by the same guy. If 52% of black men never sire children, I think it's 62 or 64% of black men live in middle class or better, right? Because most black men, remember, men have to work. You and I both know that.
Right.
Men don't get to marry and
only women get to not work. Yeah.
Only women can do that. So clearly, you know, when you start looking around, like, okay, so Drex, so what are the black men doing? Yes, there are some deadbeat black dudes, right? There's too damn many, right? Usually they were raised by single moms. But when you start really looking at it, most black men you see are working. They only promote Pookie and Ray Ray. They only promote deadbeat black dudes, thugs, gangbangers, ain't shit Negroes. They only promote them, right? Struggle rappers. They don't promote Melvin, the postman, right?
And we, Drex, before you came on, Aydin and I were talking pre-show about hybristophilia.
Yep, it's very real. It's very Aydin. You've heard all those stories and seen the pictures, right, of male inmates who have done unspeakable crimes, getting all kinds of mail from women, right?
Well,
marriage proposals.
It's because they're seen as like they're dangerous, so women want to be attracted to that, or some women are attracted to that because it's interesting to them from their perspective, the evolutionary perspective of this man is aggressive and he's more violent than other males. That would be attractive to some women.
Too damn many. So Aydin, when we think about you know, just the nature of the German Shepherd, describe their psychology, right? So you've been around them, you've seen them. They don't take any accountability for literally anything. It's always the black man's fault. But what happens, Aiden, when there's no black man around? Who are they blaming?
Well, they have no one else to blame left but the U.S. government, basically, or the other people outside of them. So that ends up what you get left with it, which is that people, if they have nobody individually to blame, they have to blame society at some level, and that's going to be the problem. And when you're blaming society, then the voting, by the way, changes, and then it fucks up the entire society because, well, you've got a democracy, so you can just decide to vote in a way that fucks up everybody else because, well, you made your own mistakes. Oh well.
Yeah. Well, here's the main thing. When you're talking about how they blame society, right? Like, I think I can't remember if I showed Tim that that article or the video of morbidly obese literal land whale Stacey
Oh
Abrams
yeah.
blame Donald Trump for why she's obese. I can't make this
I know.
shit up.
I
Oh,
saw this.
yes,
I
I
saw
saw
this.
like-
It was crazy.
Aiden, you can't look. Okay, now here's the thing though. This is the reason why I go off on these German shepherds all the time. People are like, Drex, what, damn, Drex, why is that? I said, look, it comes from a place of love. That's the thing. Here's the thing. You and I both know, Aiden, the opposite of love is not hate. It's indifference.
Yeah, I would
right?
say so.
Okay, now watch this. What if black women are out here doing stuff and I just went like this? Meh. Just don't say nothing.
I would
don't
say
care.
that
Like,
it
okay,
often makes
that would be
black
more
women very
disturbing.
upset when
Oh, yeah.
black men in particular act indifferent towards them. I don't know what that's about, but that's what I've seen.
Yeah, you know
Well,
what
that's
it
what we
is?
started doing to these Chunky Cheese fights, right? Drex, you said yourself, right? If someone is twerking on the table of the Burger King in front of you, what is most men's reaction today?
Yeah, most men now, no bullshit. Aiden, they will look for 1 second, go like this, look, oh,
Good.
and they just turn around and walk away.
Honestly.
Because here's the thing.
That's how you take your power away.
You take their power away. Women's nudity doesn't matter to a
you
man
can get it
today in
everywhere.
2022. It's everywhere. Like the over sexualization of our populace, of our women, has gotten to a point now where it's like seeing bulbs and vagine doesn't mean anything
Modesty
anymore. In the 80s
has
and 90s, you
become
had to
more
work for
attractive,
it.
honestly.
It has. Unfortunately, that's where the chameleons have stepped in, right? Because they're like this. I'm a traditional conservative. Wait a minute. How are you a tradcon but you're 30, right? Sydney Watson, Lauren Southern.
I'm
Lauren.
kind of a trad
Tommy
con, but I'm
Lauren.
30, but I'm also married, so whatever.
Yeah, well, we're talking about those
you're not
women
one of them, right?
No, but the women who like grandstand by being like, oh, we need to stop all this degeneracy in society, guys. I'm a traditional conservative. It's like, wait a minute.
Oh, and then
Wait
you
a
put out
minute.
this video called "Men Are Trash."
Yeah.
Meanwhile, you're
yeah.
talking,
Sydney
you're bragging
Watson
about
did
getting
that? Who
dick
did
down
that,
in
though?
every.
No, that was Tommy
Okay.
Lauren. Sydney Watson, I know about her from people who were in Australia and told me in depth about Sydney with receipts.
Okay.
Right? So when people show up with receipts and they're like, yo, man, this is what she is. When you try to like look, and then who's the other one? Daisy Cousins, right? Then they told me who her dad was, and I started looking. I'm like, look, man,
Look, just
These
also
people
be
aren't
aware
your
that like
allies.
people lie on the internet. I don't know how this all
Yep.
works. Like I've been with my husband for 3 years, so like I'm 31 now, but like I've been with my husband for 3 years, so like you can say that I'm not trad or whatever. I wouldn't consider myself particularly trad, but whatever. However, I don't know why all these women are not married. That is kind of weird.
Okay,
Well,
okay, you find that to be a fair criticism, right? Like, if you're such a trad con, how are you in your 30s unmarried? Like, isn't that fair, Aiden? Like for a guy to be like, wait a minute, hold on,
I'm
Tommy Lauren.
suspicious.
I'm suspicious. Like, wait a minute, you say you're this traditional conservative. You say that we're supposed to dress, women should dress a certain way and be a certain way, but you're 30 and single. So I know you've been getting ran through. I know your head has been hitting a headboard. Stop pretending, right? You can't pair bond. See, when dudes start saying this, they get offended. My body count, and then the feminist
Yeah,
comes
well,
out. You see what I'm saying?
that's silly.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Anyways, oh boy, we've been going almost 2 hours now. An hour
shit.
45. Aiden, thank you so
Thanks
much
for having me
for
on.
coming on.
I feel like first of all, I'm getting real tired, but also thanks for having me on. And dealing with my COVID voice being shitty.
Of course.
Oof.
Drex, did you have any final questions or thoughts for Aiden?
No, I loved having Aiden on because, like I said, I had never heard of her until that flash cast, and it was a pleasure to talk just because it's like The thing is, though, is that, like, I think what Aydin represents and what, is this whole thing of understanding how we got here, right? And then moving forward. Because if you notice, Aydin, I'm sure you're kind of tired of guys basically just like bashing women. And you're tired of women bashing
Of
men, right?
course.
You're tired of it. You're like, look, I look around, like I tell people all the time, I go, dude, the nature of the manosphere of this show will start to shift toward like I said, unity amongst men, right? Because I already know when you start adding females,
Yeah, I
it's
don't
gonna
want
be
I don't want
simping and the
women
fuck
actually
shit.
involved in terms of like us being involved in the
Yeah. But like there should be like more unity amongst men,
Yeah.
right? And building, because everything that we see now is only going to get worse, right? The economy is not going to get better. The social dynamics aren't going to get better. So what can we do going forward, right? That being said, you and I both know the only way to really win, men and women have to work
Precisely.
together, period.
And that
Because
yeah.
it's unattainable, right? Like right now, here's the thing. I had this conversation with Words last, I think it was like a couple nights ago. I explained him, I said, dude, this is gonna be a bitter pill for a lot of guys to swallow. I want your take on this,
Mhm.
Aydin. If men dig their heels in too deep and go, I'm not gonna help women, fuck them. They can just all die off for all I care,
That's
right?
silly.
I said, you have to understand what's gonna happen. If women keep losing, they will keep running to the government to make everyone's life
Yeah.
miserable.
Oh, sure, of course.
What do you think about that?
So I'll tell you what I think it is that okay, here's the thing. I agree with you like almost entirely. I want men to have their own private spaces. And I want women to have their own private spaces. I think this is a normal way that people should have to fucking interact because men and women are different. Now, it doesn't mean that I can't want to try and help men, particularly because there's nobody interacting or getting involved anywhere saying women can't have their own private spaces. It's only men who are being prevented from this in any way.
Mhm.
So, me coming in and saying like, "Hang on a minute about this," that's it. That being said, like, I think that, yeah, I believe that it's kind of a big fucking issue that it's really only men who are being prevented from having their own spaces, and only men whose lives are being fucked up with on this. And so when I come in, I just want to say like, again, if you don't want to have me on here again, it's fine. But my only
Oh no, I definitely
my only
do.
point here is that like I'm not trying to come in here and be like, let me put my woman perspective. I'm only in here to be like, I think men should have their own perspective. Um and I totally agree with it. That's it.
Well, next time I'll definitely get into like male sexuality and how it is portrayed, because
Oh yeah, irritates me.
you know that women are allowed to have 500 different toys,
Oh, I
right? They're
know.
allowed to fuck vegetables, fruits, dogs,
Horses.
white
Jesus
women,
Christ, it's so
horses.
fucked, man.
But here's the thing though. But hold on, Aydin. But when a man goes, you know what, man? Let me go shout out to my man Dollhouse Phil and go get a doll. Whoa!
Unbelievable.
Time out.
Unbelievable.
He's a
Not
pervert.
Burb. He's not allowed to be
Women
said like.
women unironically all over fucking Tumblr and fucking what's that shitty fucking website?
I don't know. Anyways.
The video website where everyone's gay, and they're just having like dogs lick their fucking pussies with fucking peanut butter on them, and it's like all
69 for 69.
69 for 69, and it's unbelievable.
Jack Murphy.
Excuse me, I would consider that animal abuse, and for whatever reason, when women do it, it's totally fine when women conduct animal abuse.
It's okay.
Oh,
It's
TikTok.
okay.
It's TikTok. Thank
And-
you. I can't remember. Like,
Yes.
Oh yeah. Okay. I was about to say, I was like, what site?
Yeah, we're like,
sorry,
the site. Okay,
but
yeah,
it's
TikTok.
crazy.
Yeah, no,
Take
but,
a thought.
Women can just engage in animal abuse, and nobody gives a shit.
yeah.
female teachers can do things to their male
Exactly.
students. That's okay. Yeah, we'll definitely get into some double standards and everything next time. But yeah, like I said, Aydin, I appreciate you coming on.
Thanks
I
for
know
having
you're
me
sick, but when next time we'll get you, I know you'll be healthy, and we'll have to definitely.
I've actually, I think I've become healthy. Thanks, Drex. I think you
Look,
cured you and Tim.
Aydin, I want you.
Cured my COVID.
We're the cure. Well, Aydin, I do want you to
Hashtag
make
not
sure
medical
that you watch.
information.
Yeah, right. Yeah, medical information.
Susan.
We'll definitely watch that Texas Chainsaw Massacre, because I know there's one thing that you will appreciate. It's seeing wokies get yeeted in the most savage way
Oh, that
put on
sounds fun.
film. It is savage how bad
I'd
they did it.
play a trailer, but I think we've already gone pretty long.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, we're all good.
Aydin, show your channel. How can people find you?
Of course, you can find my channel, of course, at Aydin Paladin, Paladin, on YouTube. I will have a new video very soon on the Ukraine crisis. It will not make people happy. In fact, if you think that Vladimir Putin is literal Hitler, I would suggest not watching it because you're gonna have an aneurysm. Not that I like Vladimir Putin, but it's just that things are not that simple that he's literal Hitler. All right.
All right. Thank you very much. Of course, you can always find us at patreon.com/MigtownPodcast. MigtownPodcast.locals.com, subscribestar.com/Migtown-podcast. You know how to find us. You know how to support us. Everyone, we'll see you. Oh, by the way, no emails this week. I'm just going to hold emails until after episode 69. Our schedule's just too jam-packed for it. So for everyone who's sending us DMs and emails, I will get to them just a little bit later. Until next week, everyone, stay frosty.
Stay toxic, kings.